reacts quickly and pulls the crazy lady away from the car while I'm standing there in shock. DH tells the senile old bats they have to leave the property immediately, and the CPS lady pipes up that she isn't leaving until she can be sure that she isn't leaving two children in an abusive and vulnerable situation. I asked her if she thought I was beating my toddler bloody. Why weren't the police called? She told me that it was a CPS matter and not a police matter, and I laughed and told her I disagreed and I was calling the police and started walking down the driveway, towards the Hamburglar's car, to make the call. This prompted her to begin screaming, "Don't touch my car." Okay. So what's in her car? I peer in the window and see a forking Amazon box. With our name and address. So now I get to tell the cops that not only is she trespassing, she's stealing our mail. We live less than 5 minutes from the police station, so as I'm making the call my husband decides she can't leave if she's blocked in and lets go of her. Well. She decided to shove me to the ground, get in her car, and drive through the yard missing running me over by maybe a foot. DH sees what's happening and gets in front of her car, so now she's between the house and our car, with DH in front of her and a chain link fence behind her. Naturally, she reverses into the fence right as the police cruiser is pulling up. I swear to God, a completely different person got out of that car. What moments ago had been a very fat version of the vampire brides from Van Helsing became a stuttering, hobbling grandmother with a bad box red dye job. It was unsettling. Because this is getting long, I'll try to condense the rest as much as I can. We were horrible abusive parents, but had threatened her and frightened her badly enough that she was trying to leave, but we wouldn't let her. Our package was only in her car because she was worried it was on the porch in such a bad neighborhood and wanted to keep it safe, but couldn't take it inside for us because we changed the locks. The CPS worker repeated the story she had told us to the cops, and said that she didn't leave when we told her because we refused to let her examine the children. When the cops looked at my kids and confirmed that no one had been beating anyone bloody, Hamburglar said she must have been mistaken but didn't understand why we would have left before the CPS bench got there if we hadn't done anything. Cops called my mom and confirmed time we arrived at and left her house. Cops made Hamburglar return the package, then refused to charge her for mail theft because the package was returned unopened. He did tell her that I had made it very clear she wasn't welcome here, and she would be arrested for trespassing if she returned. Hamburglar and Co. left, and the cops asked us a few more uncomfortable questions about how our kids were treated. I'm sure it's policy when somebody says a kid might be being abused, but I was ready for the whole ordeal to be over. So, my mom will be staying at the house with me for the next few days to help me keep an eye out for packages and make sure I'm not here by myself if she comes back. I took the rest of the day to calm down and figure out how to move forward, since it was nearly 2 p.m. when the cops finally left. I'll be going up to the office first thing Monday morning to file a report against that CPS worker. And where's my dad in all of this? Radio silence. The package was a can of formula sent Saturday overnight delivery, so if that was someone here we received it, mostly, safely. Stepmom, the sandwich thief, called child services on me. Sandwich thief struck again. So, my angel of a mother is just as broke as we are, but does have the benefit of a full pantry. She has been inviting us over for practically every meal the last couple days, and she only lives about 10 minutes away, so we've been taking her up on the offer a lot. This morning we were treated to a giant platter of homemade French toast that was heavenly. Hamburglar was blowing up my phone the 2 hours we were there, which is actually the first time she's attempted to make contact since I first confronted her about stealing our food. I refused to let her ruin my morning and put my phone on silent. We made our way back home about 10 a.m., fat and happy, to a screeching harpy on our porch. Hamburglar was on the porch with the original social services worker. I have no idea if this is a friend of hers, or just some poor woman who the bitch has sunk her claws into, but I do know that Hamburglar seems to have a direct line to her, instead of the CPS office, and apparently has enough pull to have her at my house 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning. I immediately sank down into the seat with a chorus of FFFFF, so my husband parked behind Hamburglar in our very narrow driveway, thank God, and went out to confront her. From the car I could hear her screeching about the locks being changed, which immediately told me she was trying to get into my house again. My husband said something I couldn't hear because he wasn't screaming like a lunatic. He later told me he said that we changed them so she couldn't steal anything else from our children, and she slapped him. Guys. My husband is a 6'2", 250-pound teddy bear. He has never in his life dreamed of laying a hand on another person. He doesn't even like to discipline the 4-year-old because the kid cries when you put him in timeout. I saw red. I got out of the car and immediately started across the yard, to be intercepted by the social services lady halfway across. I told her, rather rudely, I'll admit, that I had been informed she was no longer on my case and asked her what the hell she was doing on my property when no one was home. She then told me that the only reason no one was home was because